Hi and welcome. This is Support for Stressful Times. The times are maybe even more stressful than they were the last time we spoke. For me, they are. We have a war in Europe. And thoughts of how people I don't trust have their finger on the nuclear button, which has been true for my whole lifetime, but somehow seems closer today than it did 2 weeks ago. And so I want to talk about anxiety today, because I find feelings of fear and anxiety in my body some of the most difficult for me to be with in an open, allowing, friendly way. Because that's what we're often talking about in these calls, is that it's okay to have our feelings, and we also want to be having a relationship with our feelings. Well, what are you going through? What's life like for you? Is it stressful? Is are are parts of it stressful? Another thing that's going on for me is that because there does seem to be an increased level of stress, more people are missing appointments and needing extra time and attention and feel like they're not fully present in conversations. Have you noticed that? Has that been going on for you? So, together, let's pause and just take a little time to acknowledge being here right now. The greatest antidote to worries about the future is to stay as much as possible in the here and now. Isn't that true? So here I am, resting on support. So feeling how your body is supported. You actually are in contact with something. You're not floating above the ground. So for me right now, there's contact through my seat and my feet. Let's take some time to be aware of contact, support, breathing, and also feel the room you're in, feel the room around you. Very likely there's something comfortable and even safe from that you can feel from being in the room you're in right now. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe some people are calling in from an airport or something. But probably most of you can feel, yes, I'm in this room where I do my Zoom calls, and there's something supportive about the room or in the room. You can let your eyes fall on a familiar object, maybe even something that was a gift from someone you love, or something beautiful that you chose for the room you're in. Is that right? And that's a resourcing practice, right? Really pause, feel what's supportive right now in my own body and in the environment around me. Are you doing that? Great. So, how do we go from that to being present with difficult feelings that might be here? Well, the next step is to let awareness come to your body, to the inner area of your body. That includes your throat, chest, stomach, all the way down to this belly stomach area. I often feel anxiety down here. What about you? Some people feel it in their face, their jaw, their shoulders. And the most important thing is, do you feel something challenging like anxiety right now? And where do you feel it right now? Or it might be you're feeling sadness or concern about another person. Or it might be you're feeling outrage. Well, all of those feelings are welcome, and even subtle feelings that it's hard to put a name to. And who's welcoming them? Well, There's a larger you. You are larger than your feelings. And your whole body, here and now, resting on support, is the place from which you can say to your feelings, hello, I know you're there. So do this with me right now. Say, I am sensing something in me is feeling, what is it? Maria wrote in the chat, bored and lonely. Okay, we can take that. What's one example? Bored and lonely, anxious, upset, grieving, worried, outraged. I am sensing something in me is feeling, and fill in your word. Yeah, fill in your word. I am sensing something in me feeling what? Hans-Jörg writes, excited. Sarah writes, numb. Okay, numb is a feeling. Yeah. Laura writes, frustrated that I'm powerless. Great. Yeah, it doesn't have to be one word. It's a whole complex. We start with frustrated, then we sense what's the frustrated about? About being powerless. It's about being powerless about that, whatever Laura's thinking of. Yeah. Scared, constricted, people are writing. Yeah, okay. So I am sensing something in me is scared. Next step, I am saying hello to that. Sensing something in me is scared. I am saying hello to that. Now, hello doesn't mean I love you. It means hello. I see you there. I greet you. It's friendly, but it doesn't mean you hope it will stay here forever. So there's no problem with saying hello to something that you feel, and notice the difference that it makes. I'm sensing a feeling of burdened. I see in the chat. I'm sensing something in me feels burdened. I'm saying hello to that. Feel that difference. Pause and feel, did it make a difference when I could say hello to something I was feeling? It calms down, says someone. Yeah. What happens for you? Yeah. Eleanor writes, I'm sensing relief. Two close people in my life are recovering from physical issues, and I am also. But at the same time, aware that I have space and a home where I can feel safe. Yeah, that's the resource. And Laura tried it out and says, well, the pain isn't as intense. Laura's the one who said, frustrated because I'm powerless. And you know, this is an important point. I'll take frustrated because I'm powerless as a good example. We're not trying to calm our feelings just so they'll be calmer. We're also, what I find is that when I move into this relationship with my feelings, where I am here being with how I feel, I can also make better choices about what to do. Like my feelings are probably about something going on outside of me, in my family, in my community, and in the wider world. And sometimes I'm feeling powerless about those things. Just yesterday, I got in a very tough situation with a close friend of mine. There was something I really thought she needed to do about a situation that she and I are both involved in. And I told her so. And I got, no, I can't. And we got off the call, and for a couple of hours, I just stayed with how hard that felt in my body to come up against this wall. This is something that person needs to do. And She says, no, I can't. What? I don't see a way forward. And I'm just staying with how it felt mm, really heavy and difficult for me. And I stayed with it. I did what I'm suggesting to you. And then an amazing thing happened. A few hours later, she did it. Well, what I'm saying is that when we stay with how we feel, sometimes things can happen that are outside the realm of this, causality. One thing causes another. I don't know what enabled her to do that. Maybe it was me saying she needed to, but then backing off and leaving her space. I don't know if my staying with the feeling of how hard that was inside me helped it finally happen. But I do know that when it happened, I had such a flood of joy. Tears came to my eyes, gratitude. And that's something we can also feel in our bodies. So, what I'm saying is that if there's a situation that you feel is contributing to feeling some painful feelings in your body, whether it's in your family, your community, or even farther away, and you feel powerless about it, that I'm sure is accurate. We're powerless over many things, but there's often something we can do. For example, yesterday I made a contribution to the, what's it called? World Central Kitchen, I think it is. A nonprofit organization doing great work feeding Ukrainian refugees in Poland, for example. I can do so little about that situation, but it's so helped to do that. And I feel like if we can be with our feelings from this larger place of presence, or we call it sometimes self in presence, then clarity becomes possible about what is possible to do. Do you know that wonderful saying about serenity? Serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. When we're overwhelmed by our feelings, when we can't find our own self under the onslaught of what seems to be only outer events and our own painful reactions to them, there's no solid self anymore. How can we make those discernments between what's not possible to change and what can be changed? And how can we find the clarity and the courage to do what is possible? So that's what I'm saying is as we're being with our feelings, even if they're feelings of being powerless, it's worth doing. It's not just that the feelings get calmer. It's that from that place where we're more than our feelings, clarity can come. Oh, this is what I need to do. This is what I can do. At least I can do this. And when you're sensing into possible actions and so many of them feel unavailable or impossible, try saying the words, okay, but this much I can do. This much I can do. Yeah, Dawn writes about the incident with my friend yesterday. You're staying with it was like praying for her. Yeah, for her and me and the whole situation. Yeah, yeah. Andrea asks, what helped you stay with the pain? What helped me stay with the pain? I've just learned that there isn't really anything better to do. Eleanor writes, I'm curious about those people who don't have a safe place at home due to war or domestic abuse. Is there a way to create that space that allows someone to find that self in presence? Yeah, I have heard from people who are uprooted. I had a friend whose house burned to the ground in the fires in California. I saw her about a month later. She was living with a friend. She was okay. She was able to be with the feelings of turmoil and change and sadness about losing her home, and yet also feel her life energy and the sense of hope moving forward. It's possible. And one reason it's possible to feel our own self, even in challenging times, times when there isn't a sense of safety around us. One reason that's possible is that we are not actually at the mercy of the events of our life. I remember a time when everything was in turmoil earlier in my life. People I loved were dying. I'd lost my home because I'd been renting a house and I was asked to leave it by a certain date. And I remember making a cup of tea and sitting out in the sun and feeling, all right, I don't know what I'm going to do, but something will happen and I'll take a step. And right now, I can feel okay. So these moments of feeling okay don't depend on living in a completely safe world. Luckily. I, at the beginning of our talk today, I invited you to sense the room around you and sense what you feel supported by in the room around you. We understood that maybe not everybody is in a room they feel supported by right now. So we're not saying that doing this process depends on being in a room you feel supported by. It's just nice if you do find yourself in such a room to pause and allow yourself to receive that. But maybe you're not in such a room right now. Well, where are you feeling some sense of support? Maybe there's sunlight. Maybe there's warmth. Maybe your body is not so much in pain as it had been at some point in the past. Something to pause and enjoy and feel supported by in the present moment. Someone saying in the chat, I think that's Sharon, I feel guilty for my anger and overwhelm over an abusive situation that is little compared to people fleeing their homes. Yeah, it's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. It's interesting how our own feelings, some part of us can compare our own stressful feelings with the circumstances of other people and feel a bit guilty that we're making a fuss over what we're feeling bad about, when we can imagine or we see in the news people in much harder circumstances. But your job is to live your life. Certainly, if it feels right, give help to those who you see struggling, but nobody but you can live your life. And so it makes sense to pay attention to your own feelings. It's sort of like on the airplane when they say put the oxygen mask on your own face first. You need to pay attention to your own feelings and what needs care there so that you'll have the energy and attention to give to others. And there's that part of you that wants to compare your situation to others and sort of belittle you for making a fuss or being concerned with something. That is a part. It's not wisdom. And that part can also get your kind attention. Oh, I'm saying hello to something in me that's worried that I'm in error by paying attention to my own feelings when so many people are worse off than me. Well, I'm saying hello to that part of me. And at the same time, I'm saying hello to my own feelings. Your own feelings are your first responsibility. If you don't take care of them, it makes relationships difficult, doesn't it? Yeah. Sarah writes, you're quoting me, moments of feeling okay don't depend on living in a completely safe world. Very true. Can you feel that? Yeah, that's very true. So today we've been talking about pausing, like I always do, and feeling how you feel right now, gathering the resources of noticing how safe you feel right now. Well, safe is not quite the right word. How supported you feel right now. And there's some support right now, yeah. And it's okay to receive it because you're giving to yourself by pausing to receive support. And you could do that any time of day. It's a good idea when things feel like they're coming at you, maybe too fast. Let's take a pause at such a time and feel my feet on the floor, maybe, or whatever my feet are doing, and my seat on the chair, or maybe I'm standing and I just feel the contact of my feet. Maybe I'm lying down. Wherever you are, you can feel support under you. And then you can feel your breathing. And then you can let awareness come to your body. And there isn't anything going on in your body that's too much for you. Nothing in you is trying to hurt you. Nothing in you is too much for you. Sometimes it feels like a lot, but by saying, hello, I know you're there, and I sense how strong you are coming into a relationship with what you feel that allows what you feel to be, how should I put it? It allows what you feel to take its next steps. So sometimes it feels like our feelings they're holding on to us, they're gripping. That's sometimes how I feel about anxiety. It's got a grip on me and it's also sending me scary thoughts. But if I can remember to say, yes, I know you're there and I sense how anxious you are. And it doesn't change. So I say it again. Yes, I know you're there and I sense how anxious you are. Then I do it again and it might, excuse me, it might take 3 or 4 times, but I get to where I can feel, yes, I'm okay. This part of me is anxious. It can tell me what it's anxious about. It can tell me the scary scenarios it's seeing. And I am here listening. I'm present to how I feel. That's my favorite thing to do in stressful times. Reba says, I find such relief in saying something in me feels instead of I feel. I feel is too big. And I'm learning to come into this present moment. You know, this something in me feels, I think is miraculous. It's so interesting to me that it's a shift in language. You don't even have to believe it. Just saying the words has an effect, although you may need to say them several times. Not everybody finds it, but many people find that something in me really helpful. And then the biggest thing to do is remember to do it. You could write it on a piece of paper, put it around here. Yes. Great. Great. Eleanor writes, I look forward to these half-hour biweekly times you've created for us to pause, connect to our bigger selves, feel the mutual support of the wider community. Wonderful. I look forward to them too. I can feel we are a group and I care about every one of you. Adrian writes, an organist told me the following story. As a child, a tornado ripped away half of his home, but left standing the room with the piano. So he played the Little G Major Minuet by J.S. Bach, and then he knew he would be okay. I love that story. I like that even better than sitting with a cup of tea. Wow, so nice. So say hello to the feelings that are coming and be the bigger self. It's about relationship. I'm not I'm not getting bigger than my feelings in order to push away my feelings or in order to ignore my feelings or in order to distract myself from my feelings. On the contrary, my purpose in being my bigger self is so that my feelings are not alone. My feelings don't have to be all alone inside me. If I am anxious, there's nobody here but anxious. But if something in me is anxious, then I am here with that. And I can say to the anxious feelings, yes, I know you're there and I'm with you. It doesn't need any more than that. You don't have to tell it why it shouldn't be anxious. I don't think that really helps, frankly. I am here with you now is all we need. I hope you can feel that difference. Adrian writes, J.S. Bach has served me well in my most desperate times. That's another great tip for stressful times. More J.S. Bach. All right, my dears, we're going to wrap up for today. Thank you, everyone, for this kind attention to yourselves and to each other. Carry us with you throughout your day and your week, and we'll meet again in 2 weeks. So nice to be with you. Take care. Bye for now.